They never seem to learn, do they? Another time-gated requirement has been added recently, but that adds into a bigger issue that has been going on with Jagex. Let's talk about it in this video. Let's talk about it. Yo, what's going on guys? My name's Jagex and today we're going to be talking about the new Wilderness Flash Mobs event, but mainly about a way bigger issue that kind of came up with it again now that they released a new requirement, especially for the trimmed completion escape, but even the completion escape one is a bit questionable, but that one isn't as bad as the trimmed one, but we'll get into that in just a second. If you're going to enjoy this video, definitely go leave a like, definitely join in with the discussion in the comment section down below, because I'm very curious to see what you guys think, because I think I have a very wide audience when it comes to people who are casuals, people that are, you know, actual new players, but also really hardcore players that might be trim completionists or completionists, or, you know, do a lot of high-level bossing. I'm really curious to see what you guys think about this subject, so definitely join in with the discussion down below, and definitely subscribe. We're on the road to 2,000 subscribers and see how far we can get it this year. So if you want to help me out, really do appreciate it. Without further ado, let's get into it. So first things first, let me just clarify one thing. I am not under the impression that the completion escape, and especially the trimmed completion escape, should be a given. It shouldn't be very, very easily obtainable. It should definitely be an achievement. However, I do also believe that certain requirements just do not belong on the completionist/trimmed completion escape because they just don't make any sense, at least to me. And what I'm mainly talking about are time-gated one. Look, certain things are just time-gated because that is just how the content works. For example, ports is a time-gated requirement because that is exactly how ports work. Same with player-owned farm. It's just the way like farming works. Farming is time-gated. That's just how it is, and there's nothing they can really do about it. That's just how it was designed. But ports as well, it's just designed to be this AFK thing, and they just, you know, happen to have an achievement that you need for trimmed completion escape. And I don't have any issues with that. Obviously, I don't like them. I prefer them not to have. But there's also things that are just pushed to be, you know, time-gated without it making sense to be time-gated. A good example of this, there's a Mercue quest where you need to build these memorials for all the fallen soldiers of the Mercue. Yeah, I think it's called In Memoriam of a Mercue. And it takes you 10 days to do so because every single day one statue plinth appears. Why? That makes no sense. And that kind of leads us into the wilderness one as well. Is sure, the wilderness flash mobs are time-gated because it's an event that happens every single hour, just like the Dixie catches and all the other time-gated ones. And that is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. However, the two requirements, and mainly the trimmed one, that really bother me are just, you know, I feel like they just kind of added in to really just get people to do the content without them actually feeling like, the thing is, I understand with trim completion escape, right? So if you, let me start here, because as you can tell, I'm really passionate about this. The two requirements are, the one requirement is you need to complete every single type of flash mob event, which are 13 of, at least once, which I agree with. That is a good requirement. I don't like it being time-gated, but it is what it is. That's a completionist requirement. Do them all once. There's 13 events, there's a 13-hour requirement. It is what it is. Like, you know, it's not ideal, but whatever. Like, it's cool. Because you interact with the content that has been released, and you understand it, and you have, you know, played the content and unlocked pretty much everything, because there's nothing really to unlock besides the teleport, which you get after those 13 completions. That is fine by me. That is how requirements should be. It sucks that it's time-gated, but it is what it is. However, the trimmed completionist requirement is to get 100 of these completions. And that to me makes no sense. Because there's no reward shop, there's nothing else to it, there's no collection log, there's nothing. It is literally you have to complete 100 of them and then you have the requirement. So that is an at least 100-hour requirement. Obviously, it is a passive one and, you know, all the events only take like 5 minutes max to be able to finish. But still, for 100 hours at a set time every single day, you need to complete these events. And that sucks. Like, I don't like that. And I think that is actually really bad because that artificially requires people to, you know, do these requirements that, yet again, also requires other people to be able to complete. And that is another issue with this requirement is, sure, right now it's packed and everyone is doing these wellness flash mobs events. However, there will come a time where, the newness has worn off and people are not doing this anymore because they don't care about the rewards, or they just don't like the content, or they already have their trimmed or regular completions requirement and they just leave it for what it is. Because a lot of people don't really like doing hourly or time-gated things like distractions and diversions. Like, they only really do it if they need to do it. And when it's new, people either do it because, well, loot, because you can get some good items, especially from the special events, and from, the requirements, whether it's completionist or trimmed completionist. And I feel like when the hype dies down, so to say, and everyone got at least a completionist requirement, maybe even some trimmed completionist, let's say you do this in like 2 years time, right? It will probably be only able to find a team or like enough people to do these flash mob events during the big events, and there's only 3 of them a day, at least in the regular hours that most people play, and then again, people go to work, whatever. So you might be able to do 1 or 2 events a day, which will literally require you to do this for 50 days straight to be able to get this requirement. And that to me is just very bad. And it adds kind of into something else, which I really hope I can find the clip. If so, I will put it right here, but if there's no clip, please believe me. But Jagex recently said in one of the videos with DRS guy, or just in general, somewhere I saw it, that they don't like time-gated requirements and they don't like to lock people behind it if they do not have to. And then again, they go release a piece of new content, fully new content that is time-gated by design, which is fine, but you lock people out of getting it within 100 hours at least. And that is if you play 100 consistent hours after each other. That to me makes no sense. And that's kind of why I started this video. It's like, they never do learn, do they? They say something and then they do something else. And that is really something that bothers me, especially with completionist and trim completionist requirements. Is sometimes they add a grace period, sometimes they don't. Sometimes they add something time-gated, sometimes they don't. And they say they don't want to do time-gated, and then they do. And then sometimes they say, oh, we don't want you to be able to relying on other people with, certain requirements. Like, for example, the Barbarian Assault one is quite difficult, and the main way people get it is literally by paying teams to be able to carry them, because there's just not enough people that are, able enough to play Barbarian Assault, because besides the trimmed completionist cape, there's no reason to do so. And they said they want to step away from it, and they want to, go away from those type of requirements, which is fine. I understand you don't want to retroactively, remove those other requirements, because people have gone through it. People have spent millions and millions and millions, and maybe even billions of GP on getting those requirements. I get it. However, don't go say that and just go at requirements like that again, because this requirement is nothing different than the Barbarian Assault one. The only difference is that, you might have to go into CC in a couple of months, maybe years, maybe even weeks. I really hope not weeks. Or you need to wait for the actual big events to happen, which only happen a few times a day. And it makes no sense. And I don't get it. And it upsets me because, sure, I'm just going for a completion escape. And yes, I do enjoy the content. I think the content initially is good, but it's just, the reasoning behind it and the things they have been saying. And you could say, oh yeah, well, you're just naive to believe what they're saying. And yeah, I could be. But I also do believe that recently they have been doing a lot of good things. And they have been, kind of, keeping their word on a lot of things, especially when it comes to releases and types of content and whatever. And sure, we have MTX, Jagex, blah, blah, blah. It is what it is, bro. That's just a part of the game. Shut up. However, when you do something like this, I just kind of feel like you just forcing people to do the content because they need to get a requirement. And you could say, oh, well, that's your choice. Yes, but then again, you're A, relying on other people, and 2, it's heavily time-gated. And those are the 2 things they have stated they want to step away from because they understand that it's not good content. Sure, clicking 5,000 scarabs for the Crocodile Hunter requirement isn't good either, but that is kind of in the spirit of getting a completionist / trim completion escape, because you need to unlock everything from that reward shop and then you unlock it. That is kind of like the spirit and the essence of a completion escape and a trim completion escape. And, having, as I said, completing every single event is something good. If there was a reward shop and you had to unlock everything for trimmed, that would have made sense. However, the only thing that you can unlock is that achievement to get the teleport, which is doing every single mob event once, which is, as I said, the comp requirement. And then for the trimmed, it's just like, yeah, just do another like 87 of them and then you're good, you know. A, just don't add it to trim, or B, add a reason to it for trim, like a pet or a reward or at least something. So you unlock something and it makes sense for you doing it, because right now it's just a number they put on it and that makes no sense. And that goes against things they've been saying and things that the community even has been saying about these requirements. But yeah, that's just me rambling on about a stupid trim completions requirement and completions requirements. And I know that there's some people that will be watching this and be like, oh, well, that's just part of it. You choose to do it. I get it. I do get it. It is something we choose to do so. However, we do not choose to be locked out of these types of content. We choose to do these stupidly difficult grinds to be rewarded with it and not having to wait for it. There's no challenge to it. It is literally just having to wait for it. And that is not good game design. That is artificially pretty much putting up the numbers. And that is not good. Either do something, give us a proper reward from it after doing 100, or remove the requirement altogether. But that's just my opinion. Let me know in the comment section down below what you think. Like the video if you do enjoy. Subscribe if you're new. And my name is Jagex. And I'll see you guys in my next video. Goodbye.